Welcome to this Creative Instinct podcast production made for the Cambridgeshire Recovery Service, one of a series made by people navigating their recovery journey, driven by people who have been there and recognise the way.
The beginning goes way back. I was stuck in addiction for maybe 26 years. A lot of denial, a lot of yes, there's a problem, but no, I don't need to do anything about it. I had 3 detoxes, did it all for my family, never for me, trying to please everybody. Alcohol, it was wine, then vodka. It was wine with my family and vodka in private. And that was one of the hard things, was keeping it private, which I have now found out it wasn't. The reasons why I did, I know very clearly. I knew I was hiding at the time. I was hiding from the real feelings, and I was too scared to approach them. I felt an overwhelming feeling of loneliness and isolation. And I could look myself in the mirror, and those eyes, bloodshot, yellow, skin grey, and that person just was empty. There was nothing inside me. I actually felt worthless. And now I can look back and I can highlight how it happened and why it happened. It just numbed me. I had to understand the reasons behind it to prevent going back there. So I had 3 failed detoxes, and they were only failed because I failed them. I chose to pick another drink up. I was not ready. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. It wasn't my time. I actually overheard a conversation. My son and my mum had phoned the undertakers, funeral directors, to book an appointment to prepay my funeral when I thought they were going to be planning my 50th birthday. That made me think about life. And I can remember the day clearly, and I phoned, and I was on my knees, and I actually was on my knees in tears, begging for help. I came to CGL. I may just go back part of it. I was with Addaction Inclusion, and it changed to CGL. Went in, did all I was asked. At the time, there was no groups, pre-detox groups, so I worked with my key worker. A lot of that is a blur. Can't remember that I did pre-detox work, but apparently I did. And then went for a detox. Went down to Anna in Portsmouth. Terrified. Absolutely terrified. But on the flip side, so excited. So excited, the fact that I could now change my life, because I knew I couldn't carry on drinking 24/7. So that was 6.5 years ago now. Came out, went in with an alcohol addiction, came out with a nicotine addiction, but that's another story that we can overcome. Came out, and I can remember standing in my bedroom, and all my surroundings were exactly the same, and I was different. At the time, I had a family friend was in NA, and he phoned me when I got home. He said, "I'll meet you outside." I'm like, no, can you come and pick me up? He said, "No, I'll meet you there." And I went, terrified. But then I found, people always say, where did you find your inner strength from? And I don't think I can put my finger on that. It was a desire, a need, and a want. I did not want to die. And I just worked my recovery. One day at a time. Attended meetings 3 times a week. Still with CGL at the time, and my key worker approached me and asked would I be interested in volunteering, telling me that I could do some good. And I saw that as my first opportunity to give back to those that had believed in me. And I will say my key worker was the first person who really believed in me. I still work with her today, and she still believes in me. And that is something I've carried with me, and I do pass on to others. So I began the volunteer programme, enjoyed that, started shadowing groups, co-facilitating. I've skipped through the training part, but then COVID hit. I was here on the Monday when COVID was announced, and I begged our service manager, please don't send me home, I'll go mad. Oh, we'll see what we can do. Well, I just decided I was going to work 5 days a week. So I sat in the Hungerton office at the front desk 5 days a week, answering calls, not really knowing quite what I was doing, but found my way around the system. And I always look back at that time as being a really special time. My father passed away sadly last year, and it was put to me when I came back from some leave, did you relapse? I was shocked, because the straight answer is it would not have changed the situation. And that's something I realised very early on, was you can't change a situation by drinking. Can you deal with it today? If you can't, you have to let it go and not let it trigger you. And I've started using all these words, and I sometimes catch myself. Oh, you sound like a recovery coordinator. There was a moment when it was decided that I could have a few clients of my own. And I remember that as one of the proudest moments, because I suddenly felt I was gaining my independence back. And I always say to clients now that alcohol or any substance, but for me, the alcohol took away everything to do with the self. I had no self-confidence, no self-worth, nothing, no belief in my own abilities. And that's where the volunteering came in. It was building me up, allowing me to become somebody that I never dreamed I could ever be. And it all sounds very romantic, but it's not. It's just basic facts of working a recovery. Through COVID, on the phone, which was very strange when we went back to face-to-face. Then I had a sessional contract, so I was actually being paid. And team leader at the time was stood upstairs in the office, and I'd gone out to the bank for the very first time. And there was my wages. I'm not embarrassed to say, but I stood at that cash point and I cried. I cried because I finally had some self-worth. And I can remember walking back in the office, and the team leader said, "Are you okay?" And I just smiled at him. I said, "Thank you." And he knew exactly what I meant. It's so powerful. That was a real turning point. I've had several steps along the way that have turned me. And then eventually I got a full-time contract. A lovely caseload to go with it. I do stick with mostly alcohol clients. They do say you're good at what you know best. And I amaze myself some days when I come out with things. I never thought I'd be sat here talking about well-being, looking after yourself. I actually learn from my clients. I learn every day. I learn their pain, get to know them, and I can use my experience, although no two people are ever the same. We have one thing in common, and that's addiction. And it ruins lives. It ruins relationships, family, friends, whatever. But most of all, it ruins you. And there's that understanding that, yes, we can all say I've been there, but when you've lived it, lived experience. And once you explain that, you get the respect and you can build a relationship. We're all unique, yes, but we all have the same thing in common. Addiction can be any drug, any amount, could be gambling. No different to alcohol, drugs. They're all addictions. And it's what's going on inside your brain is unique to you. But here we have an understanding of how to deal with addiction. And it's breaking that cycle, breaking that habit, having what we like to call the mental toolbox. Get your tools in there. If you're frightened of coming through the door, yeah, that's scary. It's even more scary when you relapse. But all we have here is empathy. There's no judgment. Allowing people to believe in themselves again. Helping others to see in themselves what I can see in myself. Being alive. Being alive. Being here to enjoy my son growing up. Being here to help others.
Your story can help others, and we'd love to hear it. Wherever you've been, wherever you are, how you got there. Whatever, it's up to you.